Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us on the CCA California podcast. My name is Chris. Good to be with you this week. Very exciting episode today, but first, just want to let you guys know, make sure to give us a follow on Instagram at ccacalifornia.org, along with liking our Facebook page at the Coastal Conservation Association of California, and visiting us on our website at ccacalifornia.org. As promised last week, I had made an announcement about an addition to the show. We've got Mr. Kevin Nakada as a co-host. Kevin, what's going on, brother? How are you?
What's shaking? Just doing a thing and out there in the field and trying to hustle some lures and some new products. And now I'm in here in studio with you. And we have some guests in studio as well.
We do. You know, I got so many emails and calls and texts asking for just your voice, so we made it happen.
Wow. So I have a voice for radio now, huh?
Yeah, clearly. Right. Well, awesome. Well, without further ado, Kevin, like I said, we have some very special people in our studio. Tonie and Chad from the Grande. Tonie, Chad, what's going on, guys? How are you guys?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're stoked.
Yeah, thanks for coming. First things first. Have you guys been able to do any fishing in the off season with your off time at all?
We have.
Oh,
Yeah?
Just a little bit.
What does that
Just a
mean?
little bit. Just, walking to the docks, doing some bass fishing.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, honing in our dock fishing skills.
Try to get into some fly fishing.
From the Back Bay?
No. Freshwater.
Freshwater.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Like locally or the Sierras?
Sierras up in Bishop. Didn't have much luck. I've never fly fished before, so, got a cheap combo from Bass Pro Shop. Try to dwell on that a little bit.
Did the upper Owens or lower? Where did you go?
Just the Owens.
Yeah. So you walked the bank on the snow, and it was really okay. Cool. That's awesome. Any big catches, cutthroats?
No.
No, he didn't get there. He
No.
snapped his rod.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cast.
Yeah. It's all new to me, so
that's awesome.
exploring that area.
But it was
Okay.
a learning experience.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it. Tonie, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little about your background. It's quite interesting. I know we were talking right before the show here, but tell us all what Tonie's about.
Well, my fishing experience probably similar to all of you guys. We started out really young, or someone introduced it to us, and we got hooked. To me, that was my dad. And so when I was young, I was maybe 5 years old, I always knew I was going to be a marine biologist. And I had pictures of me with dolphins, and it's like I knew I was going to do something with the ocean, with fish, with mammals, something. And my dad, in maybe 2003, 2004, he had a business in Alaska. So when I was super young, I was in elementary school. That's what my family and I would do every summer. We'd go up and we'd work with Dad, and we'd spend, 2 months, 2.5 months. We'd be outdoors, we'd be camping, we'd be fishing. And my dad, he's more of a lake and stream. He's a freshwater guy. I mean, we always joke around he gets seasick in bathwater. So saltwater was never really his thing. But I remember looking at his tackle box, and he had all these flies and eggs. And I just thought, how on earth could these fish bite these tiny little hooks? It blew my mind. But being up there every year, it just astounded me. It wasn't just fishing that was a sport. It was, we're going to get meat for the winter. So for me, that kind of grew my appreciation, not so much my understanding. My understanding kind of grew as I, went to school and everything. But kind of fast forward to end of high school, I took a year off, and I went up to Alaska with my dad, and I was working and got involved volunteering at the Alaska Sea Life Center. It's a major research rehabilitation center, public aquarium, kind of all in one. So I was volunteering with marine mammals and birds, and just kind of watching how they interact with these animals and do research, helping veterinary staff. So I kind of got that back end of things that you don't see in an aquarium. Such a great experience from the guys up there. And
It sounds like it. Holy smokes.
That's a very colorful career so far. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a long-winded one. But I remember being out on a boat. I must have been maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that. And I went out on a boat, and they were releasing this elephant seal. And I just remember, I have to be involved in this community. I have to be on a boat doing something. It just kind of clicked. And I was also working for a major glacier wildlife and cruise company as well. I just wanted to be out on the water. I wanted to see how beautiful, Alaska was. And so I got to see things that not a lot of people kind of get to see, and orcas, and I would see salmon jumping and orcas chasing dull porpoise chasing the salmon. It was like I got this whole world, and I saw the circle of life right in front of me when I was young. But I started working in the summer in between going to school. I went to Cal State Long Beach, and for the summers and the winters, I'd work for it's for saltwater safari. They're a major lodge, fishing company, salmon, halibut, rockfish, things like that. Big halibut, right? The halibut.
Big.
Big. It's funny because seeing halibut down here, they're holding up, legal 22, 24 inches. I'm like, up there, we call those chickens. Like, those are so small.
I don't even think they catch a chicken that big up there. It's usually a 40 pound fish, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fishing has changed over the years, especially. We got, people get really good at fishing really fast. So there has been a decline, like in the average, like biggest size of fish that you get every year. But I've seen some big halibut, big halibut. And remember going out with them one day. I was begging them. I just really wanted to get out on the water. And, I'd fished before and, have done that sort of thing, but I wanted to get, I thought, oh, well, I know how to fish, I'm going to go on a boat and, help out. And being out there and seeing, like, the work it took and to get the fish, I just had this whole other level of appreciation for the sport, for the captains, for the deckhands. It was like this whole...
So you're segueing perfectly. What is your jump to San Diego? What's happening now, and how'd you get there?
So a couple years ago, I had friends at the time that would work seasonally in Alaska, and they would come down here. And they said, well, hey, you should just try it out in San Diego. You live in Orange County. It's not that far. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to give it a go. So I ended up messaging and DMing probably 50 plus different landings and boats and just saying, hey, this is who I am, this is my background, this is what I want to do, I'm ready to work, when can I hop on, when do you need me?
Wow,
I'm ready to go.
So you came down here with almost no connections, you just on a whim just started hitting everyone up for jobs. That's cool.
Yeah, I was hungry. I was hungry to work and hungry to learn. And
that says a lot because not a lot of people will do that.
Yeah, and I was still in Alaska at the time. I think I just booked my flight. So I was trying to message people to try and, ideally for me, I'd come back to San Diego and within a couple days, like try and help out on a boat. I didn't know what, the terms were and how to pinhead and things like that. So I was just hungry to work and to learn. And I found out very quickly that everything that I was taught up north, everything I knew about fishing, completely threw it out the door when I came down there. It's kind of an eye-opener for me.
We always say that, fishing in Southern California is almost totally different from everywhere else. With your perspective coming from almost from it, not an outsider, but coming from the outside, how does that actually compare? Like, is it what they say it is? Is it true?
Yeah, it's on multiple levels though. So if you take somewhere like Alaska, it's very seasonal. You're only running from mid-May into early September, maybe October. So your season's very short. And the clientele that you have on these boats, a lot of times they're not bigger boats where you've got 30, 35 people. You've got deltas and you've got, aluminum catamarans that are out there that you're taking anywhere from 4 to 6 people or 10 to 16 people. And the people that you're bringing on, they're not people that go out every single week. These are people that, either come in on the cruise ship and they looked up something to do and they wanted to go fishing because everybody wants to get big Alaskan barn door.
Yeah.
Right. So
Or a king salmon.
or a king. Yes. Yeah, along the Russian. But
That's
yeah,
cool. That's cool.
It's totally different mindset.
Very cool. So what led you to the Grande?
The Grande was one of the, I think, 2 or 3 boats that had messaged me back.
Okay.
And James had messaged me saying, well, you know, the only way to figure out if this is something that you want to do is to come out and try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think within a couple days, I went on the boat and I just walked up, and I think Chad was the first person I made eye contact with on the boat, and I was just looking at them because I didn't know, you know, who to talk to. I didn't know who I was looking for, but as soon as I went on the boat, I don't think they believed me that I was actually pinheading. I think they thought I was some passenger who didn't have a rod.
So
Nice.
so Chad is here as well. And Chad, when you first met Tonie, you know, what was your first impression? And you're also explain to people what your role is on the Grande as well.
Yeah, so when I first saw Tonie, all the guys, all we knew is that we were going to get a new female deckhand. And I saw her lined up. I think you were second in line to get on the boat early in the morning. And no one thought that who she was going to be who's working on the boat, you know? They just thought she was a passenger. And I was telling everyone, no, I think that's the girl that's going to work on the boat. I think that's her. So we ended up inviting her up onto the boat. And that's how we initially met. She was pinheading for, I think, a week before you ended up getting hired officially on the boat. Mm-hmm. And it just went from there. My background, though, same thing as Tonie's. My dad would always take us fishing on the sport boats. I'm from Orange County as well.
Okay.
So it worked out well with Tonie
Yeah.
because her family's from Orange County. Mine's from Orange County also.
Cool.
So that was cool. But my dad would always take us sport fishing on the boats down here, mainly San Diego. Sometimes we would go out of Dana Point as I was a kid. And then I ended up going to college for a wildlife and bio degree, which didn't end up working out. My priorities weren't straight back then. All I wanted to do was party. I was at West Virginia University. So I ended up actually dropping out, unfortunately. And then I ended up working a few jobs back in California. I didn't really enjoy what I was doing, so I said, hey, I need to find something that I really enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. So I ended up looking at the sport boats. Always wanted to do that. I thought it was the coolest thing ever as a kid growing up, you know, being with my dad on the sport boats, looking at the guys fishing, working hard, you know, dirty, grungy work. I thought that was cool. And I said, I think that's something I'd like to do. I went on the Sport Fishing Workers group on Facebook and ended up contacting James McDaniels, and I think I contacted the Pride.
Okay.
And James contacted me first saying, hey, come out, work with us, you know, pinhead on the boat. We'll see how you do. And the first day I worked there, we got limits of yellowfin tuna. And that's when that kind of started, I think.
Nice intro.
Yeah. So I guess that was the start of the season when they really started killing them, too.
What year was this?
2018, 2019.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something like that. So we did really good my first day pinheading. Mm-hmm. After the day was up, we had our meeting, you know, at the end of the day, split the tips, all that. And I was still living up in Orange County at the time. I said I had to go back home for the day. I was still working another job at Oakley. And they asked me when I'm coming back, and I said, if you guys hire me, I'll quit right now, and I'll come down to the boat tomorrow. So that's exactly what I did. I went back up to Oakley, quit that day, went back down to the boat, and just started working from there, and that's the only boat I've been on, and I've been doing it ever since, and
wow,
it's the best job I've ever had.
Wow.
License.
Yeah, just got my captain's
Oh,
license.
congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
What tonnage?
100 tons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's
cool.
Yeah, so you're
Stoked
getting
on
ready.
Oh,
Ready for long nights.
Yeah.
I don't envy that paperwork. I literally just submitted for my renewal, and it was a pain in the butt. So I don't envy you, but that's cool. You don't really hear too much about that, Kevin, where at least for me, like whenever you go on your favorite sport boats, it seems like there's quite a bit of turnover from year to year on certain boats.
You mean as
boats,
far
like,
as employment?
yeah, as crew members.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's completely different. It seems like on the Grande.
Yeah, I heard before I joined, I know that we went through a lot of people They were telling me that they've been through around 20 people before I joined. And then ever since I've been on, I think we've been through about 10 people as well. So, yeah, the turnover rate is pretty high. But I think the crew that Alec has built on that boat is pretty successful. And then with our second captain, Tyler, as well, I think he runs the boat very well. They both do. And then under management with James as well.
I like Tyler. Whenever, I think, if I remember correctly, I think I did an overnight trip with you guys back in June on a charter. And it was one of those trips where I got invited by the charter master to kind of not teach people, but like kind of like be a helping hand to them. And all the guys that he brought on the boat were like just basically, they were basically rental rods, for lack of a better phrase. So it was like 2 or 3 in the morning when that big bluefin bite was only at night, but it was still like at the 302 kind of more or less. And it was like it was simple as dropping knife jigs down. And it was like 260-pound bluefin within like 20 minutes. And Tyler goes up to me and says, "Dude, you're a player. That's awesome." And then that made my trip. That was awesome. That was cool, but short story. That's cool. So Grande, I know you guys are kind of going through, it's the off season right now. So a little bit of boat work and anything we need to look forward to when fishing with you and all that stuff for 2022.
We're ready to kill him this year.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Nice.
Is the Grande gonna do multi-day trips, like longer than a day or an overnight?
I know we might have some 1.5-day trips. We haven't done past that. I'm not sure. That could change this season.
It's all about the fishing.
It depends on what kind of fish are out there and the fishing, if they're further out and that's what people want to do, go after those big bluefin. I'm sure we'll add some dates on there for 1.5-day trips. If the islands are hitting, we're going to have the full day trips running.
What's the bread and butter of the Grande?
Full day trips. Full day trip, island fishing. Alec knows the islands very well. That's his go-to thing. And he kills it up there. So.
Perfect. Great. Yeah, you guys have for a long time. How has the Grande been down in the San Diego port?
I'm not sure exactly how long. I know they've been at H&M for the past, I think, 5 years, maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
Before that, I believe they're at not Fisherman's. What's the other one?
Point Loma.
Point Loma. They're at Point Loma. Yeah.
Yeah. They've always been on the game with the Nados. They've always been on the island smashing it. So definitely has a good history as that boat being a very yellowtail-esque boat. Yeah. Now going into bluefin.
What's interesting about the Grande though is before James, it was I may be wrong, but I think it was his dad, Scott, who owned the boat. And I think years and years ago, I think I was like maybe 11 or 12. That was actually my first overnight trip on the Grande. It's pretty cool. But they've always been either Point Loma or H&M for the last however many years. It must have been 20 years or so, or close to it. But for the last handful of years, it's been the solid 3/4 day boat out of H&M and consistently putting up some decent numbers for sure.
Now, since you have had your fair amount of bluefin stories, are you hooked on it? Are you one of those? Are you both the kind of people that just want to do bluefin and that's it?
Bluefin fishing is fun, but I don't think it can compare to the hecticness of yellowfin fishing. Yellowfin fishing are a lot more dumb of a fish. Bluefin are extremely smart. They have wonderful eyesight. They're scared of boats. Whereas yellowfin, you can run them over and just start getting limits, which unfortunately we didn't see last season. But I think that's kind of my favorite type of fishing is yellowfin fishing.
Yeah, I agree with that. When it's fast paced and you're trying to wiggle your way around people and jogging and trying to duck from people's surface irons, trying to cast and
combat fishing.
People, flinging back their bait and the bait smacking you in the face. Well, maybe
you make it sound really fun.
Yeah.
Maybe I say that because I'm really short.
I enjoy it. I'm not sure about it.
But I like the challenge of bluefin. Like, I'm the person, everyone, if it's at night and everyone just gives up jigging for them, like, I'm the person on the bow, like, I'm going to get it first. I'm going to try and get it. It's the last run. We got 5 minutes. I'm going to try and get it as much as I can. So I like that challenge.
How often has that paid off?
few times actually.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a couple redemptions.
A lot of hooking hands.
That's
She likes to hook in hand.
Yeah.
It's all about that
knife
bite.
jigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially on the flat fall knife jig stuff, when that thing just starts to load up all of a sudden. It's like the craziest yo-yo bite you've ever had. It's
Yeah, when
just
you're
awesome.
pumping it and it just gets hit.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. So do you get to fly the kite?
Chad
I do.
does.
I do.
I don't
Every
do
once
it
in a while,
often.
yeah.
The Yummy or both? The Yummy and the dead flyer?
Yummy, we use everything. We use the California.
Yeah.
The Yummy, we'll skip it. If that's not working, we'll go to California on a stop, or we'll use the frozen flyer. Just kind of depends.
What's your favorite?
It's cool seeing the Yummy get blown up on when we're
Yeah.
moving. It's really cool. I mean, either way, I mean, you see a Volkswagen coming out of the water.
Yeah.
You can't beat that, really, no matter what it is, what you're using.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, when you're flying the Yummy or even just doing the double trouble or anything like that, is there like a specific thing that you're looking for with the fish just barely on the surface? Or are you kind of like bouncing it off, just making some splashes? Not to kind of like give away your secrets, but what are you looking for as a deckhand?
Yeah, you can work it a little bit of both ways.
Uh-huh.
You know, if something's not working, if you're bouncing and it's not working, you know, maybe just trying to hover it there, right on that water line. I know Alec likes to just kind of hover it right on the water there.
Yeah.
Not so much bounce it.
Do you ever do like fresh live or anything like that where it's kind of moving on its own, or just strictly frozen or the California?
No, never a live flyer. I've never.
Okay.
No.
Interesting.
Well, now they've really started to crack down on people scooping.
Yeah.
So it's totally different game now because of the official like news being out there. You're not supposed to do it, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy how like the last, because we've really only been fishing the Yummy and the frozen, or it seems to change every year, but we've only been fishing that kind of stuff for maybe like 2016, 2017 is when we first started really doing it.
For around here.
Yeah, for around here. But it seems to change every year because it was first the Yummy, you needed the Yummy, and then the year after it was like the frozen, and then the year, I think last year was like fresh dead, and then who knows what it's going to be this year.
It's all about that fakie. It's the California Flyer, man. That thing's gotten so much traction. It's amazing. And their videos are so cool to watch that thing get smashed. And I don't know. That's just what gets me. I don't know. I'm super hooked on it. So if we go way too deep in this, you got to stop me. But yeah, I'm the guy that will come up onto the Grande, and I'll bring a popping rod that's literally a bait cast like Alexa 400 or a Tranks 500 with a bass rod, and I will literally pull on a fish like 100 to 140. And I'll make your guys' jobs miserable because you'll be there for 2.5 hours to an hour and a half, and I'm just having fun. So I'm that guy.
I was just thinking too. I'm like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I know
actually
you're
very
kind.
common.
It's the guy bringing the Tranks 400.
Yeah, that
Bluefin
guy.
Fishing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How many of those guys do you get on the boat?
Every day.
Oh, all the time.
Oh,
Okay.
Every day.
Man, that wasn't that good all the time. That wasn't a good all the time. But what? So when people come on the boat, what is your number one thing you initially tell people to do not to do, and then for them to do? So both. What side of the coin do you lie on, and what is your first recommendation when they walk on the boat?
I guess it kind of depends on the gear that they bring on the boat and what we see them using. You know, always listen to the deckhands. We're out there every day. So if we're telling you to do something, that's probably what you should be doing because we're out there every day. We see what the fish are biting, all that stuff. So if we're telling you something, just make sure you're following along with that. That's how you're going to get bit. If you don't have the proper setup and you don't have enough time to go to landing or something like that, we tend to use our own crew rods. So each of us, we all have crew rods on the boat, and we'll lend out gear to people so that they can be successful. So
that's cool. Because I mean, as crew members, you want people to be successful.
Absolutely.
That's how we make all of our money, you know? If we're not catching any fish, this is how we pay our bills. Then we don't make any money. And that's where, you know, sometimes it sucks where we don't catch any fish and we get skunked and a lot of the customers are mad. And they don't realize that the crew wants those fish more, and they don't think we're doing our jobs, when in reality, we're trying as hard as we can, and we need those fish, you know?
I was going to say, you guys want them more than they do on most occasions. That's cool. With
when you refer to that, Chris, you're talking about fish counts specifically, right?
Well, just for people to catch fish. I mean, it's so important for the crew. I mean, when you spend so much money to go on the boats and all that, you want to catch fish too. But it just goes to show, especially with crew members nowadays, like yourselves, where more often than not, you're not gonna go or come across a I'll just label him that guy on the crew where he doesn't want to be there. He's got a bad attitude and all that. Nowadays on almost all the boats, like all the crew, the customer service has really skyrocketed in a really good way.
Yeah, I mean, the days, that are really hard, I feel like for people that don't fish often or this is their first time, it's very easy for them to judge the boat and the crew too by, we've been driving around all day. We haven't stopped on a patty or we haven't caught anything. And I think, a lot of people don't understand, like, we got somebody up in the bucket. We probably have 3 people plus your cook in the wheelhouse glassing for hours. Like we want these fish not just for us, but we want people to come on our boat. We also want to make money, so the longer that we can run is better for us. It's better for the boat. It's better for a business in general. Why wouldn't you want people
to catch fish, right?
Not to mention you probably have done it for like 30 something days straight too.
Yeah, but
what is the longest streak for both of you guys of being on the boat?
I think about 2 weeks.
Okay. Tony?
yeah, I think I'm there with you. I think I'd have all my days on a spreadsheet on my computer when I was looking at it. I think it was like 14 or 15 days or something like that. If I hadn't logged them on, I couldn't even tell you.
Wow.
The days just kind of blur along.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people don't have that perspective, and it's really interesting to have you two here because now you get to give people the insight, what it really is like to be out there for 2 weeks, literally in a row with back-to-back trips, especially if it's a full night or full day and you're doing, you're coming back in the same day and you're rotating out your passengers and you're barely getting any sleep and you're loading up bait all at the same time. So
yeah, or we come back from a full day straight into an overnight with an island's full day following that into a day and a half, like 2 back-to-back day and a half trips. It's a lot, but I mean that definitely shows you the type of person, the type of character, the type of people that are on these boats. Like, we love fishing. I mean, it's not like we're out there a couple times a year. Like, we're out on the water more days than we are on land. We miss, things that are going on with our family, our friends. Like, we give up a lot in our personal lives. I'm sure, Chad, you can say, I mean, you talk to anybody who works on the boat and you probably know this as well. It's a lot of sacrifice for something that you love, and not just that, you want to share it with people. When we're telling you things to improve on your gear or your technique, like, we genuinely care about this fishery, this industry. We want you as the angler to be successful every time you step on our boat, on another boat.
So you said something earlier about how, like, in growing up in the industry, doing Alaska and all that, how you've seen some things that normal people don't really see in that world. You can kind of say the same thing for almost all of us fishermen and obviously crew members too, where, we try not to take for granted, like, the school of porpoise that we see every single day and the whales that just happen to breach and all that stuff. It's interesting because not too many people get to see that, and we all kind of not take it for granted, but we always see that all the time. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think some days are more special than most. If I've had a few days where I had things going on in my personal life and something kind of happens out on the water and it's like, wow, either this thing was supposed to come to fruition or this is what I'm supposed to do, or, someone is showing me some kind of message. I don't know. Take it as what you will. It gets very spiritual, at least for me. When you're out on the water, everybody has their own experience with it. But yeah, it's hard to. I mean, even on days where we're running trip after trip, and something as simple as the sunset on our way to the sunrise, sorry, on our way to the bait receiver. It's like sometimes we're putting the crowder away. It's like when you look up, man, today's going to be a good day.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. So I'm guessing that probably happens more often than the normal person. Kind of.
You mean having that appreciation?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say because this is what we do. This is our livelihood. And, if I was someone else, it might be different.
Yeah.
But because I live it and experience it, I don't know. Everyone views it differently, I guess. I don't know.
I have to say, you're definitely being a very positive person, waking up every single day and doing this job and having that perspective. And that's very unique for a deckhand or, a crew member to feel that same passion when you wake up every day. So kudos to you. That takes a lot. I'm sure Chad has the same, similar attitude. It seems like you guys share that same viewpoint. So that is a gift. That's a rare thing for people to wake up and want to go fishing every single day and then feel the same way about it,
Yeah, you really have to do this job. If you didn't, I don't think you'd be successful with this kind of industry.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, Tonie, getting a little bit back to your background there, you've kind of dedicated your life. You went to school and all that for marine biology and all that. Did you ever think that it would lead you to a fishing boat in San Diego?
Oh, never.
Yeah.
Everything that I was taught, from my peers to teachers, it was, we have to protect the ocean. And undoubtedly, 100%, yes, we do. But it's funny how my path kind of changed in this direction where I went from trying to save all the fish to trying to kill them all at one swift stroke,
Yeah.
But I was joking around with someone not too long ago. I said, if anything, having all this knowledge and understanding, it just makes me really efficient at killing them, But I think ultimately I just have such a profound appreciation for fish in general. I think they're the coolest freaking thing on this earth. They're so cool and so unique and so different and so dumb sometimes and just so incredibly intelligent. And it's so situational too, how they behave given the conditions. And you've got all these variables. I mean, it's mind-boggling when you track down and try to think about it, and I think that's what I love most about it.
Yeah. So we've been kind of pushing over the last maybe couple of years where there's this idea of, I'm sure you guys have heard about 30 by 30 and all that stuff. There's really kind of this ambiguity on conservation versus preservation, where conservation, obviously CCA is all about conservation, but conserving is far different from preserving, where, there's a different way of protecting the environment, the biodiversity, the fish themselves and all that, versus just shutting it all down and locking the key and everything like that. Do you have any, input or on that or anything like that where, what side of the coin do you and yeah.
That's a hard question to answer.
I know, it's a loaded question.
Every scientist I've asked that question who says the same thing. It's a hard question to answer.
I mean, there's so many facets to that, and there's so many things that are intertwined, whether it be through, the MPAs, and then if it's affecting businesses, and then you got people who rely on these businesses as their income. It's I don't know. I'm nowhere near qualified to say in any way, but I do think there are certain things that work and certain things that don't. I think some fish, you look at some fish, right? When they reach sexual maturity, they can have upwards of 50,000 eggs, right? Just in one spawning event. And there are multiple species of fish that spawn multiple times a year. So for me, it's hard to look at these numbers, and then you look at what people are catching off the boats. It's like, well, if you're comparing, the fishermen on a boat to, say, people who are commercial fishing, the two are so completely different. And I feel like the slice of the pie for recreational anglers like us are so small compared to so many other issues that are causing it. I don't know. I can dive into a rabbit hole talking about
Dive
that.
into it.
Yeah.
Go for it, please. Yes.
Yeah.
But
I mean-
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I mean, with your background, with also working on a sport fishing boat currently, I think you would probably know, more so than the common angler and all that stuff. So that's why I kind of asked the question.
yeah, I definitely think that, if you're someone who works on a boat, you see the changes from year to year, from when the bluefin really started popping off 2015, 2016 to now. Even before that, I mean, these captains and, deckhands that have been around, they're able to tell you trends that I feel like professors and people that I've studied under and, have helped with grad research on, I feel like there's no way you could have done, 3 months of research on a grad paper and could tell someone about it. And then you look at these captains that do this every day, and it's like the people who should be giving their opinion, their advice, their perception of what is going on are the people that run these boats, not people who just sit in an office all day or just read papers. Not that I'm belittling that in any way, because I was there at one point. But the people who are on these boats, I mean, can give you so much knowledge on what is happening. And I think that's where, especially how, everything is going right now, that's where these build makers and people should be turning toward.
Versus dividing the thought pool. They should be coming together on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
That's-
have some discussion, some conversation.
I think the hardest part about this conversation that we're having is how to get there, because there's two conflicting opinions that have two totally different reasons for coming to the table. One may be to completely eliminate or decrease the amount of catches of any one species, and the other one has a goal to catch more at a better rate over time. But there's no middle ground between those two. It's hard to get to. It definitely takes a lot of reevaluating everyone's position within that industry or the industries. So people like our generation are going to have to play a bigger role in that, because we get it. A lot of people get that, and it's an ever-growing amount of people. So definitely, having younger people, especially, we talked about last time, Chris, that I was on, that we were old. But
Yeah.
but we need to start, there's serious, conversations need to be had between all the parties that are involved, for sure. Yep. And the captains have a lot of input. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the efficiency rate of, people that work on boats is through the roof. I mean, even people like Alec can tell you, given this spot, this is how you're going to catch a fish doing this, and this, which maybe didn't happen 20, 30 years ago. So you have a change in that as well. But I don't know what changes that could be made. I don't even know where you could start or how to start that conversation other than getting people aware.
Join CCA. That's one way you can start. Yes. Having people come to a place where they can feel like they can share their thoughts and come together as a community to support the agendas that they want to see put through is the most important thing. And not a lot of people get that. There is a lot of good to be done, but not a lot of people willing to do it. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. So join CCA. Make sure you go visit your chapters. That's a really important thing. Even a guy like me, I'm going to be more proactive in the San Diego chapter. It's really important for all of us to try to make it there. Second Tuesday, 7 of every month, 7 through 9. That's just one opportunity for someone to come to the table on. So you guys are more than welcome to invite it too as well. So something you guys should stop in on, and after the days come in, if you come in before 7. But it's really important. A lot of people our age need to get way more involved. So, and
also the banquet too. Come
and
have fun. June 18th at Portuguese Hall from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're having a beer fest. All proceeds go to us, so it's fun. A banquet. Kevin, you've been to it.
Oh yeah.
Darren, you've helped plenty of us for it. But yeah, they're always a good time for sure. And this year it's going to be really fun because we're going to have 15 breweries or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All there. So good times for sure. But anyway, going back to kind of like what we were talking about, would you, the word that comes up often are cycles. Everything seems to be cyclical and all that. And obviously with us being, on the south side of 35, I guess, we haven't really lived too much life, but it seems like, from the older guys, the word cycles comes up. Everything seems to be cyclical, where I think, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's what everyone says, 100-year cycle.
Yeah,
for the
100 years
bluefin.
ago, we saw, pretty similar things in our waters, especially off Catalina, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's when you have the tuna club come around and start up their foundation. There's a lot of history there. Kite fishing was around before we even got to this point. It's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history in it. So there's definitely been a cycle. I'm sure you guys hear a lot about the cycle. What are your thoughts and what are your opinions in the future about bluefin? Do you think it's going to live? Chad?
Yeah. I think they're a very versatile fish. They can live in a wide range of water conditions. What is it, about 30, Tony?
36 or 37 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit was.
Yeah, so very wide temperature range that they can live in. So I do believe that they'll be here for a while. The one thing I'm looking forward to see if those albacore will show their faces.
Yeah. Have you ever been in an albacore bite?
Never.
Oh.
Too young for that.
Yeah. My last albacore bite I was 11. It was amazing to see. I've never seen fish do what they do. They just are so dumb. Like literally eating the paint off the back of a boat is actually a thing with those fish. I was using a bare hook, like a silver hook with those fish. 30 to 40 pound fish. It's so cool. And they taste so good. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, you think yellowfin are dumb. Wait till albacore come around.
They are
It's
pretty
going to
dumb.
be stupid. It's going to be stupid.
As long as they're not 120 miles away from land, Then
yeah,
you'd be a
that's
little
kind
closer.
that's kind of a
that'll
pain.
stop people though.
Yeah. It's a long boat ride. But you're right. A lot of people, they're still comfortable with it nowadays. So you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, on the topic of fishing, when you're off the Grande, when you're off on your off time, what kind of fishing do you both like to do? Are you guys getting back on the boats on your personal time or just going to the lakes? What do you guys like to do?
So actually, a lot of the times on our days off, we'll actually fish on the Grande.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll
Crew
go fishing
trips.
out with them. Yeah, crew trips.
To go find fish, or is that just out of fun?
Well, it's not crew trips. We'll go on with the passengers. So we'll have a day off.
Oh.
And then we'll come fishing.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, I think maybe 3 out of 4 of my tuna that I got last year, my big ones, they were all caught on a day off that I had.
That's
I had
so
a
cool.
random day off and I wanted to go fishing, and the first one, I think I got a 60. The second one was my big chungus.
What's Big Chungus weigh?
199.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
big chungus.
7.5.
I can't say 200
Oh.
because the guys will
Gutted and
shoot me
gilled?
down
Gutted and
for
gilled?
it.
That was with the 18% or whatever it is added on.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it was 199. That was
That's
the
heartbreaking.
chungus. Yeah, 133. There was all day off fish.
You could have just poured a quarter ounce weight right down that thing's belly, and you would have been just fine. Or I guess it was gutted and gilled, so never mind. Tie it off to the
Just
rope.
gone straight through it.
Yeah.
No matter which end you pull it out through.
While we're on that subject of gutted and gilled fish and cleaning and processing, what does the Grande do?
We'll do it for you for the bigger fish. We definitely recommend taking it to one of the processors that are available. But we'll do it if the customers want it. We'll explain to them if it's a 200-pound fish. It's a lot cheaper going through us, but we don't vacuum seal it like the processors will. And 200 pounds of meat after we put it in a trash bag and give it to you guys, that's a lot of work to do when you get back home, just vacuum sealing. So we definitely recommend, taking that nice quality fish and taking it to the processor to get it done.
Yeah, and you want to keep it chilled and cooled, and like we would love to cut your fish and any fish. We'd love to cut it, but especially with these bigger grade tuna, you want to preserve the meat as much as possible because it deteriorates very quickly if it's not properly taken care of. So even if, we're coming in, we take your fish out, by the time you have it in your hands and you get off the boat and you get to your car, you get home, maybe you put it in your fridge. I mean, this is a long period of time that when it comes to that fish's meat, I mean, it may not be the same quality that it was when we first cut it, the day prior.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to take good care of.
Yeah, as soon as it comes out of our RSW, we want to take it to the processor as soon as possible.
They do a good job too. They really do. Yeah.
Do you guys ever do? Have you guys ever heard of the EKG method of all that?
Where you run the like long needle or shaft and you run it down the spine.
I saw that, and it kills their nerves.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so AFCO just released their new product, like their line of EKG made products. So maybe we'll start seeing a lot of more sport boats do it, but it seems very interesting. I guess what's their big deal? It's makes the muscles relax. Is that what the deal? The nerves?
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what it does, where it just kind of paralyzes the fish a little bit and cools it down quicker.
So I think that's the whole idea behind why we use our tuna spikes and we spike the fish as soon as it comes on the deck, and we bleed every fish that comes on the deck. We try to keep that quality as good as possible on the Grande, and then it goes right into the fish hold.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten really efficient, as soon as, especially when there's multiple people that are hooked up and bringing, tuna specifically on the boat. I mean, we've got, 30 seconds, if that, between you get your fish on the boat, your hook's already out, we're trying to bleed your fish out.
And we don't have gunny sacks on the boat either anymore. We got a new bait tank, I think 2 years ago, and we put tuna slides in it. So we just have these hatches, and it just slides the fish right in. After we're done at that spot, we empty the kill box and drop them right in.
That's really nice too, because it reduces bruising. So that's really good. Yeah.
That's cool. And you guys just put in a new RSW system this off season too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So happy about
You seem really relieved by that.
Yeah.
With those big bluefin, it was creating problems. Their tails would slap the coils that we had in the RSW. So we pulled those coils out and we put it into its self-contained system, and it just runs the spray water through it, and then it sprays into the fish hold now.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's basically moved the coils to a different place that's more protected, and it's more efficient in bringing water through the coils into in through spray. Yeah. Can you explain RSW really quick? Some people still might not be educated on what that means. RSW.
It's a fish hold. It's a refrigerated fish hold. It's like a freezer.
Is it refrigerated salt water? Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it'll cool down that salt water and it'll spray it onto the fish.
Right. And it's below freezing?
Ours runs at, I think, 35 degrees. Around that
Okay.
range.
So above freezing, but very cold.
Yeah, just above. And especially on days where, if it's slower, we're not opening up the hatch to put fish in. So, if that hatch is closed, you're not going to have much of that cold air.
And that was with the
water
old
escaping.
system.
Yeah,
so it'd be interesting to see with this new system.
If it gets even colder or
Yeah.
something like that. Wow. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, so I know we haven't talked about it yet, but you just landed a new gig with BD Outdoors.
I did, yes.
How's that going?
It's going really well so far. They basically asked me to do these videos every week, and we started it this year, so I'm only, I think, 8 videos, 8 weeks in.
They're called Tonie's Sport Boat Roundup.
Yeah, BD Outdoors Weekly Roundup.
Yeah.
And I just go over what's been going on, what's happening. Of course, this time of the year, it's very slow. There's not a lot going on, and I'm not going out on the water every day right now. So once the boat starts going, and I see what's happening every day, I'll be able to tell you what's going on, what's working, if there's a new jig that I found that really works, or if there's a new way of tying up a setup. Like, I want to let people know about it, right? I want people to be successful. And I've done a few videos of how I set up my big tuna rod, and I have another one, how to set up a fly line bait. A lot of people have seen these videos before, but this is how I have been trained, and how in its most successful from what I've seen. So if it's successful for me, this is what I'm going to show you. This is how I'm going to tie it. This is what I'm using. So tips like that.
Nice. If you had to choose between fishing bait and fishing jigs, what would you, or what side of the coin do you land on?
I would have to say jigs.
Okay.
Because most of the fish that I've caught have been off of jigs.
Okay.
And so for me, I feel like my bait game is not very strong for whatever reason. So for me, I want to get better at casting out a bait and using live bait. Chad gets bit on live
I'm the
bait
exact
all the
opposite.
time.
I consider myself really good at fly line fishing.
Even with
Live
the heavy
bait.
stuff? Even with the heavy stuff?
Yeah, I've caught, I guess I hook and handed 100-pounders with 60-pound test on a fly line, and that's pretty hard with 60-pound test.
Yeah.
Whereas with jigs, I have caught fish on knife jigs and stuff, but that's something I can work at, and that's kind of the cool thing with fishing. There's always new things coming out, always like ways to improve yourself with fishing, and every year is something new.
When you say jigs, specifically vertical and slow pitch and flat fall style, no surface iron we're not mentioning that? Are you surface iron fan?
I don't use surface irons. I'm
At
not
the
a surface iron
islands,
person.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
and with the bluefin like poppers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But my go-to would still be flatline. That's just me.
Huh.
If it's foaming up, maybe throw a popper into the foamer or something like that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the reaction and kind of fiddling with different things that you do to your rod. If you're doinking it, if you're lifting it up and down really fast, I like that challenge of, okay, what am I gonna do that's gonna get this fish's attention the most today?
Okay, so there's many different techniques to fishing a jig. You have fast pitch, slow pitch, speed jigging, and then just the flat fall, dead stick, letting it fall. Of all those things that I've mentioned, or the myriad of combo between them, what's your technique? What do you like most?
So if I'm using, the rod that I have and the setup that I have, it's not ideal if you're trying to do that fast jigging action. But I've done it on my rod, and it's hard and heavy, but I've done it and I've caught fish before on it. If I had a smaller rod to do that, I'd do that all day. But I like using the knife jig. I like the reaction that comes off of it. I like how it displaces in the water. And so if I'm dropping it down, what has worked for me is we call it doinking it.
Yeah,
So
explain that. Never heard that.
So imagine your rod is in your hand, right? And you're just going to, as soon as you get down to that, desired depth that you want to be at, or where you think you are, right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to slowly lift my rod up and down. I don't know how to even describe this motion.
Is it slow? It's very
It can be. You can do, if your rod is pointed at the horizon, you're probably going up maybe 45 degrees.
Are you reeling at the same time after you drop the rod? Are you lifting the jig through the column?
You're lifting it through the column, and then you want to drop it fast and create slack lines so it flutters back down.
Yeah, so you're working the water column because you want to get as much as that as possible. If there's fish that are passing through, you want to make sure that you're within that range
And
of
to
where
what I
they
said,
could be.
that's to doinking the jig.
So it's
If you're
slower
pumping
though,
if you're pumping it, you're winding and pumping, and it's coming up the water column.
but faster.
Yeah.
But so the doinking's slow. This is like you're trying to imitate a squid, just kind of squirting its way up through the column very slowly.
Yeah, it could be a squid. It could be an injured fish, depending on what the jig action is doing. Anything that's going up in the water column that might catch their attention, where if they're swimming by and they see some flash, that might be something enough for, the fish to turn around and say, oh, whoa, what was that? That looked interesting. I want to check that out.
I'm gonna doinking. That is the technique. All right. I can't wait to tell people. I'm sure people are gonna listen to this podcast and start using it too. So you've coined it, the doinking.
Yeah, on the doink. I've caught fish on it. It works.
All right.
It works.
Wow.
You guys heard it first. The Grande is doing the doink. They're doinking it.
Doinking it.
What's that phrase? You learn something new every day. Yeah, that's crazy. That's cool. That's cool. That's so we could see you every Thursday on BD Outdoors and all that stuff for tips and boat counts and all that stuff.
Yeah, as of right now, every Thursday evening with BD Outdoors posts a video, and I'm either talking about trips that have happened, are happening, or I'm giving you tackle recommendations on what to use, what's working, things like that. So as of right now, it's once a week. Once the season starts going, it could be twice a week. We'll just see, what fish are biting, things like that. So. But
cool.
Yeah, as of right now, every Thursday there'll be a video out on BD Outdoors.
That's cool. That's cool. You enjoying it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've never been the person that wants, like, in person, I want to educate you and show you and demonstrate things to you. But I've never been one to be in front of a camera doing it. In fact, I think I make fun of people, coming down the dock that are doing that, because I never imagined myself doing something like that. But now given like this opportunity, it's like why wouldn't I want to show people, what's been going on, and if it's at one place where people can go to, why not utilize that outlet for that reason. So yeah, I'm really excited, getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
No, but it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, one more story that I want to kind of get into. You told me right before we started recording that you actually have kind of a connection to the White Sea Bass program.
Yeah, I don't know if connection's the right word, but when I volunteered for the White Sea Bass program out in Newport. This is when I was going to Cal State Long Beach at the time, and I would go, a couple times a week, and I met with Jock Albright, and I was just, one of the volunteers. I would take the little skiff over that's tied up at the fuel dock in Balboa, and would go to the pens and would do, water temperature, would look at, the oxygen level in these nets. And there's probably, if you guys have never heard of it or don't know what this is, but there's 4 or 8 different little nets that are holding white sea bass, and they're from varying life stages. You've got the 6-7 inchers, you got ones that are a little bit bigger, about to be released, and so they release these guys out once they hit a certain stage. But we go in there, we'll feed them, we monitor, look at what if there's fish that are infected, don't look good, just overall notes, and that nerdy stuff that is so fun to do and observe them. So I got to do that for about a year.
Okay.
So
Do you enjoy it?
I love fish.
Yeah.
I really do. So when I was out there, you just watching and analyzing their behavior was, to me, that was so much fun. Some people like going out on a Friday night. I'd rather look at my fish in the fish tank, and see what's up. So.
Nice. I like that. That's cool. That's cool. Any tidbits and all about the sea bass that you might be willing to share at all?
Any tidbits, like stories?
Tidbits or any interesting facts or anything like that you learned?
Oh gosh.
I know it was a little while ago.
It was a little while ago, I will admit. I don't think I can give you tidbits, but
Okay.
what I can say is that if you're in that SoCal area and you want to help out locally, definitely look into the White Sea Bass Project going on in Newport. And can't tell you the email to get involved with, but they got that information online. But definitely get involved. You can volunteer just 1 day a week, and you don't need a lot of experience. So if you're someone that this is something that interests you, or you just want some kind of introduction, I think this is a great opportunity to be had.
Yeah, and that's part of the ORHEB program, the Ocean Resource Enhancements and Hatchery program too, which obviously CCA is involved with that, with the Hub SeaWorld Research Institute, and all good stuff, which I know Newport is one of 6 or 7 grow-out pens in Southern California, from San Diego to Channel Islands. Channel Islands being the bigger one, but it's cool. That's actually really cool.
Small world.
Yeah, small world. Small world.
So let's just cover probably the most relevant political topic right now, which is CARB. Now, sitting here and discussing your guys' involvement in employment on these boats, how is it going to affect you? What's currently the situation with the fleet, and how is this being felt out? How are we doing here with CARB?
In the next 10 years, if this really does take place, I think they are giving boat owners 3 pushback dates. So I think it's about 10 years if you put all of them together to get it done. So if it does go through in the next 10 years, I do think it is going to damage the fleet and those businesses.
Is it going to be the expense of repower? Is that what's going to be the detriment of this?
Yeah. Most boat owners, I don't think, will be able to afford the new engines.
The Tier 4? Yeah, it's definitely going to be a hindrance for sure, and the ask for one of these motors to be put in is quite large. So, have you heard from captains and owners about how they're going to be proactive in trying to alleviate the amount of cost? And aside from the savefishing.com/petition effort that's going on, which everyone should do, by the way, if you want to save sport fishing from having this catastrophic implementation of having, is it Tier 4 engines? Tier 4 engines being put into these sport boats, which is an amazingly large cost. We're not talking $100,000. We're talking millions of dollars at this point.
Like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So if you want to save your sport boats from having to be put out of the water and having these boats being repowered with these very expensive engines, and as Tonie said in one of her roundups, it's going to drive costs very high. If you want to save that, you need to go to www.savefishing.com/petition and sign the petition. It's just maybe a 5-minute petition. It doesn't take that long at all. It's going to help give the numbers out there for support, and that's a huge thing. So what you guys have done, what Tonie's done, and certainly the sport boat captains going out there and telling people about this is a very, very important thing. I hope that you would continue doing that on your roundups. It's really good. It's really good information to pass around.
Yeah, I would like to as much as I can. And I think for me, as Chad just got his license, I'm looking to get my license within the next year. This is the industry in the field that, we both want to be in and want to excel in. And so now it poses a question, for people like us who want to get into this industry, who don't have boats already or don't necessarily have like the financial situation to buy a boat. What is this going to mean for us going further, or for anyone who's in that same position? Is this going to mean trouble for us if we want our own business, our own boat, this type of field? It's a whole other
It also
issue.
impacts retailers too. So everyone's going to be affected by this because the sheer number of people might drop off, and we don't want that. We want people to go out there and enjoy fishing and not feel like there's a burden of other, monetary substance that's going to affect this. We want people to really enjoy it,
Not to mention the whole industry, just in 2020 alone, how much it's grown. Just with new anglers and new fishing license sales and all that. It would be such a tragedy to really just hinder all of that, just wipe it out with one fell swoop with the regulations.
One
like
initiative.
These. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's really just important for a lot of people to voice their opinion. Contact every single politician you might know. If you have a link, if you have a connection, if you have a network, definitely reach out to people like senators, especially like people that know that they can make a difference, and they should try to make a difference, because the Port of San Diego, too, every single one of these ports, they need to know that this is going to be a very big hindrance to the economy. It's a very big deal, and certainly the future of our sport is dependent on not letting this go through as much as possible, or being as soft with their push as possible. So,
yeah, I mean, fishing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but fishing is it's always been our way of life because we've always loved doing it almost all of our lives, but it provides the opportunity for not only us friends to go fishing, but families to get back together, for the father son to go and spend the day or whatnot. It would be absolutely a shame to wipe all that out and to not have that opportunity for, our kids and grandkids and all that, just like how we all kind of grew up too.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the phrase "protect what you love," and this is one of those things. Mm-hmm. So I think people should get involved. They should get informed, and they should realize, if this happens, these are going to be the repercussions, and this is how it could affect me, how it could affect, my captain, my friends. This is what we do every week. So there's a lot of implications. Yeah,
for sure.
Tony, how can people follow you? Where should they go and find some content you're making? And obviously Bloody Decks is one of them. BD Outdoors, excuse me, but where else can they find you?
Yeah, aside from BD Outdoors, I'm on Instagram at Tonie Bang. And if you want to meet me in person, I'm an old school girl. Meet me in person, say hi. I'm on the Grande.
There you go.
Out of H&M. So come by. Let's go fishing.
Chad, where can we find you?
Chad Winjum, Instagram.
Awesome.
Yep.
And what else are you going to get involved with? Are you going to be out there and doing some, CARB promotions? Are you going to get out there and be with picket signs with me? You're going to go out there and do
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's go do it, man. I'm serious. It's getting crazy out there. But keep us informed. What else we can help out with you guys and make sure that we give you as much support as possible. CCA is strong. We're going to be out there and do our best to make sure that we represent everyone, the entire fishing community.
Absolutely. And how do we get to go fishing with you on the Grande?
I think the best way to do that is through H&M Landing, their website.
Okay.
Book through them.
Nice.
Yeah, you can also call the number on the Instagram, Grande Sport Fishing, as well. So you call the number, it'll take you to either James's number or the Landing's number. I don't remember, but it'll take you there too. I know some people use Instagram more than anything, but yeah, the Landing's website, or you can hit us up on Instagram.
Cool.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was awesome. Really, really cool.
Yeah, this was fun chatting with you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Guys, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, make sure to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and check out our website at ccacalifornia.org for all the latest news and information on things like 30 by 30, CARB, etc., etc. My name's Chris. Kevin, good to have you, man. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you guys soon, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.